If sticker charts, timeouts, and threats aren't working, it's not because you're inconsistent. It's because your child's brain is dysregulated and no punishment fixes that. Why does traditional discipline fail? Kids today are so overwhelmed. They're often dysregulated, and we have a rise in neurodivergence. There's a lot of reasons, but consequences and correction only works when the brain is calm. It's just biology. It's not going to hear you. In meltdown mode, or freak out mode or upset mode, whatever you want to call it, or whatever your kid is experiencing, logic and learning shut down. You're here and you're trying to talk to your child. You're trying to get them to do something different. You try to get them to transition. They're not going to hear you. Their brain is literally offline. And when we focus on these punishment based models, and depending on where we are in the world, people listen to me from all over. Thank you. I know of a lot of people in the UK and Australia and places like the Dominican Republic, which I love. People have ways that they parent that are inherited from their parents, that are cultural, even in the United States. A punishment model, you can't punish your way out of a dysregulated state. It's just not going to happen. And punishment adds shame, fear, and survival reactions. That's why a lot of times these kids dig their heels in more because their nervous system is reacting. Also, with traditional parenting models, we're reacting to symptoms, not root cause, and we're not really teaching how to regulate. And that's exactly why I teach regulation first parenting. It's a simple shift that changes everything for all the thousands of parents I've worked with, and it can change it for you. And really, what's the base of it? The nervous system comes first. Your nervous system and theirs. Calm brain is the only brain that can take feedback. We know this about ourselves. Why do we expect something different from our kids? A stressed brain can only defend itself and it's feeling unsafe. It's going to pull back. It might react even more. And connection and safety are the entry points for real learning. We need, right? Gentle parenting emphasizes connection, but you can't connect unless you regulate first. That's just biology. And so that's so important in order to really move forward and have kids learn. We have to regulate, connect, then correct and guide our kids to the right behaviors, right? And just think about this, calming our nervous system isn't something that's soft or, we're having our kids avoid things. It's really the foundation for lasting change. And I think what's really important about this is we're stressed too. And when we do regulation first parenting, we're giving ourselves something. We're honoring our own nervous system and we're helping us to feel better about ourselves. But more importantly, in addition, I should say, is that we are giving our kids some of that too. And that's pretty amazing. And it will carry them through, not just right now, but their own future selves and all the generations that come, which we do need to think about. Consequences often backfire. One mom told me her kid would just like explode over the littlest things, like brushing his teeth, things that were required every day was like battle city. And she would warn him, if you do this, then you're going to lose screen time. If you do this, then you can't do this over the weekend. And what would happen is he would scream louder and then she would raise the stakes. Fine, you're not going to have a tablet all week, or you'll never go to the country fair, whatever it is. But instead of motivating him, it made him more frantic and angry. And then he would throw things and yell and then just shut down. It was like a hot mess all the time. And this was going on sometimes multiple times a day. And, I share these stories because this is what happens. Sometimes it happens once in a while, but some families live like this. This is not what you want to do. And then kids wind up getting medicated because we're like, something's wrong with this kid, but you're just in a co-dysregulated state. She kept thinking when she came to me, she was like, he's so manipulative. He does fine at school. Go and listen to that episode about, school and how kids can mask and hold it together, because that's a good one. But really, in reality, his nervous system was just in overdrive. His brain was overwhelmed. And, what was happening is the punishments kept getting bigger, but nothing changed. And that's because the root cause really wasn't defiance, it was dysregulation. I think what she learned was that threats can escalate and you can keep going further and further, but the behavior doesn't improve. And I think there are many people have live in homes like this. And kids can look manipulative, but again, you have to reframe and start thinking they're just overwhelmed. And that's what I did with this mom, is it really got her to start thinking differently. And then that's when these power struggles started to change. Constant punishment is really just going to repeat the cycle. And you already know that. Again, you can't consequence yourself out of a dysregulated nervous system. And that's when regulation first parenting matters most, because calm has to come before connection and it has to come before correction. What's the alternative? Of course, co regulation. And make sure you go back and watch the other episodes that I have on co regulation. Listen to these episodes because they're really important. And it doesn't just magically happen because we're not talking about regulation first and how powerful it is for you and your kid. What you're going to do is you're going to stay grounded and you're not going to match their chaos, because again, that's going to lead to co dysregulation. You're going to use fewer words, have more presence when you're there. Just be there. Don't be irritated. Be there. Be more present. Don't be huffing and puffing and making noise. And then redirect with rhythm and tone, walking, swaying, breath. Even just having some kids, like my kids, my Max loves deep pressure. Be there, hold that space until your child's nervous system has settled. You don't even have to say a word, because sometimes we don't have it in us, and that's okay. It just is that calm presence, that pause is really powerful. And then once the storm is settled, you're in a yellow, right? You're starting to co-regulate, which is making them feel like, okay, I'm in the yellow zone. It's safe for me to regulate, because when they're in the red, that means no, I physically can't do it. Okay. We can start talking. That's when we use words that they can hear to help them co-regulate. So instead of saying you're going to stop or you're going to lose your tablet, you can say, I see you're overwhelmed. Let's breathe. And then we're going to, talk about this tablet in a minute. And, at first your kids may really give you pushback, but when you do it and then you mean it and you are regulating, it won't be that way. And your kids will feel safe enough to trust that that's what's going to happen. So you can also say, like, instead of saying go to your room until you calm down, because timeouts really don't really do a lot. And honestly, I feel like there's so much work for us. You can say, I'm here. I'm here to help you get through this, right? You don't even have to say that. You can literally just be there. But words that help to encourage regulation are powerful for you and them. What are your action steps? You're listening, you're learning, you need to take action, right? Philomena, my mom, would say, you got to move your coolie. You're going to notice your child's level of regulation before you try to connect or correct. Okay. If they are in the red and you feel that they're dysregulated, you can't do either. All you can do is co regulate. And that's important. And then you want to practice anchoring yourself with breath, a soft tone, even just your own mantras like, this too will pass, or my child will get through this. Whatever you need to do to regulate yourself, pause, do things to help create space for your own nervous system to regulate so they can. And then lead with safety before you're trying to go in there, teach a lesson or any of those things. Is your child in that yellow or ideally green state where they're open to learning and listening? This is fluid. Kids dysregulate. All kids dysregulate sometimes. No kid is perfect. But co-regulation always works. It will always at least take things down. And certainly you're going to feel a lot better about yourself in these parenting moments. And the more you do it, the more it sends a signal to your child to regulate. And regulated behavior starts with a regulated brain. And that's the heart of regulation first parenting. You lead with calm, and your child learns to follow you. If you want more tips and more support and knowing how to regulate, then make sure you subscribe to our Dysregulation Insider newsletter. You go to drroseann.com/newsletter, and you're going to get tips in your inbox that you will never want to miss every single week, because they make a difference in how your child regulates.
Want more insights and solutions? Well, subscribe to our Dysregulation Insider and it will show up in your inbox every week.